to much to your annoyance, Alex. But
Who wrote High Guardian Spies down here? I should slap
You should
shut
know
up.
who
Yeah,
did it.
you can't
You should know.
you can't just name drop a High Guardian Spice without context.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, we have our Wizard of Wait What, Shinoda.
Ayo, what's good? It's the day after Easter, and I bought like $15 worth of chocolate. Oh god, I'm gonna get diabetes so quick.
Can you tell we pre-record these episodes? And our Chivalry of Shotas, Shotaro.
But is any of your chocolate crispy rice chocolate?
Nah,
Didn't
milk
think
chocolate
so.
all the way.
I'd like to
think
point
so.
out that I would like to point out that you two can both go to hell because I'm on a fucking keto diet and I can't eat chocolate at all.
You're the
Keto
one
to
who
keto,
put yourself
honey.
there.
There's
Hey, I've
only,
lost
you
30
only
pounds,
live
so
once,
fuck you.
girl.
I've lost 30 pounds, so I can't complain about the results. Anyway,
Fair,
So before,
fair.
Yes, it is. So before we actually talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, for the second week in a row, it seems, we're going to have to talk about some sad news. So recently, two rather famous manga authors have left us. The first, and probably the most famous, is Monkey Punch, who was the creator of the very, very long-running Lupin the Third series. He died back on April 11th. The cause of death is pneumonia. He was 81 years old. It's if you haven't gone out there and watched any Lupin the Third anime or read any of the manga, definitely watch it because it's worth your time.
At
It's
least watch
really
him
worth your
one
time.
of the movies. Like,
Yes.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth your time. It's a piece of anime and manga history at this point. So yeah, definitely do that. I'm definitely sad that he passed away. The second mangaka that recently left us is the mangaka behind Lone Wolf and Cub, Kazuo Koike. He passed away on what was it? The 17th of April, and also of pneumonia. So pneumonia is no joke when you're old, folks. He was 82. Some of his other stuff that maybe you've heard of. He was the mangaka behind Samurai Executioner, Crying Freeman, Lady Snowblood, Mad Bull 34. And also he worked in conjunction with Miki Fujita on Golgo 13. So if you've heard of any of those, some of those I haven't read. I have read Samurai Executioner. It's actually pretty freaking good. And so is Golgo 13, which he worked on.
He also made some comics in the Western world, didn't he?
Yes, he worked. I think it was through Dark Horse Comics. I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I can't remember what it was he worked on though. I do know that Dark Horse eventually ended up publishing Lone Wolf and Cub in English. So I know he worked on an actual comic book series, but I can't remember which one off the top of my head. And I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me at the moment. Definitely sad to see these two long-standing stalwarts of the manga segment of our fandom gone. But definitely check out some of their work if you haven't. It's worth your time, and it's definitely worth looking into. So tonight, what are we actually going to be discussing? Well, kind of what we do on YouTube ourselves, which is host a podcast. We're going to be talking about anime and anime commentary on YouTube, like the history of it, the evolution of it over time. So I'm going to start with something that I know that Sho has no idea what it is because he wasn't even an anime fan at the time. I want you to all come back with me. Go get back in the Wayback Machine with me. We're going to go back to 2007. and 2008 on YouTube. Now, for those of you who were around then, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you that weren't, buckle up.
I wonder how many people even know what a Wayback Machine is.
I don't know. Well, go to the Internet Archive. You'll find out. But yeah, one of the things you could do on YouTube back in the day, back before it was bought by Google and you could monetize stuff on it, people would upload actual not scans. What am I talking about? Actual like files of actual anime on YouTube. Now back then, there was a time limit for how long a video could be.
As well as quality limit.
And quality limits, yes. I think if I remember correctly, you had to have what was called a director's account at the time, and even then, you were only allowed to upload videos that were up to 10 minutes long. So there was a whole process to getting a director's account back then. So most people didn't have them, but one thing that you could do, and what a lot of people did back then, was they would upload actual episodes of anime in about 8-minute long chunks, and every episode would be divided into 3 parts, and that's how you'd have to watch it. Now, I bring this up because this is how some people actually got started being an anime fan. John, who was actually supposed to be on this episode tonight, told us that that's how he became an anime fan, was by watching anime this way back on YouTube back in 2007, 8, 9.
God, I remember how many episodes I watched in that format, and
yeah,
it's a trip.
It is. It's an interesting way to get your shit. I do remember, coincidentally, seeing as this is the spring 2019 season and the new Fruits Basket anime is airing, I thought I'd bring this up. That's how I actually watched the original Fruits Basket anime, was on YouTube doing that, watching it in 8-minute chunks. So it was a totally different time, and that was before they had like content ID. That was before you could monetize channels. It's before so much of the stuff that we have on the internet now that people use to get their shit across.
Yeah, laws and systems weren't even in place for things like this. This was in the very beginning of it.
It was so new, like this idea that you could have a channel and you could regularly upload something. And I think that was one of the things that made early days of anime on YouTube really great, in my opinion. I mean, obviously this was copyright infringement, but we didn't care at the time. Neither did YouTube until it got bought by Google. So I also want to bring in, I want to talk about something else from those early days that has somewhat stayed around, but it's certainly evolved. And I want to talk about YouTube poops for just a second.
Beautiful.
A lot, and I do mean a lot of those early YouTube poops were very anime centric, and they were a lot of them revolved around like English dubs of anime, like reworking them to make characters say bullshit, and a lot of them were really good. There is one in particular I do want to mention, who is still around today and still makes videos, although not necessarily just YouTube poop videos. He's definitely evolved, and that's Emperor Lemon. Go subscribe to him on YouTube if you haven't, because it's definitely worth your time. He does a lot of commentary, and not anime commentary, just general commentary videos now. But back when like YouTube poops were becoming a thing, he was one of the big players in that, and he used a lot of anime reference material when he made his poops. And some of them are still, I went back and watched a couple recently. Some of them are still fucking funny.
Hell, a lot of them are still pretty damn funny, even though a lot of them I've seen now and then still, and they stand the test of time. They're just like timeless comedy. The shit's gold.
And I think you and I, Chinoda, would be very remiss if we didn't talk about AMV Hell. Because let's be honest, even though it had AMV in the name, what it really was a very long-form, glorified YouTube poop.
It was basically a bunch of skits put into like a hour something long video. And there's been 6 or 7 AMV Hells made. And they did include some AMVs here and there inside
They
the
did.
skits themselves, but it was rare and in between. You were mostly there for just the comedy skits, and oh my god, you would be on the floor dying laughing. I know it had me like that too many times for me to count.
I remember they did a Christmas episode one time, which was fucking hysterical. Um, also, they also well, they didn't put this on YouTube for very obvious reasons, but they also did a hentai based one, which was also really funny.
Wait, what? I don't
They
think I've
did.
seen
You had
this.
to. I don't even know if the website is still around, but you had to go to their actual website to download the hentai one, and it was called, I think it was called AMV Hell Zero.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Or no,
about.
it was called AMV Hell divided by zero.
Oh, I haven't seen that in so long. God, I barely remember. I gotta rewatch this shit. Oh no.
But it was stuff like that. It was like, it was really creative stuff like that in the early days. I look back on it and say, why can't we have that now? Why does everything have to be so long form and like, oh wait, that's what we do. Never mind.
Hell, I remember, like, just because of AMV Hell alone, the amount of anime I got from there that I just laughed at. I'm like, holy shit, I need to just check this out, even if it's not specifically funny like this. And almost all of them, if not all of them, turned out to be hella good anime. Most the most important of which I think has been featured the most and definitely sticks out to me in memory, Azumanga Daioh.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my,
they used a lot of clips from Azumanga Daioh. There was a there was a running joke throughout AMV Hell, and I for the life of me I can't remember what it is, but it involved Azumanga Daioh.
wasn't it at the helicopter hair
Yes,
joke?
yes, it was. It was the helicopter hair. Oh my god.
I'm sorry for anyone who has no clue what the fuck we're talking about, but
Oh, they're
trust us
still
when
up.
we say you have to look at this stuff. Like,
Yeah,
you
they're
will
still up,
love
and
it.
they're still up. You can go watch them today. I don't think any of them have been taken down for any
No, they're
copyright
still
stuff. At
up,
least
which
not
is
to my
like a
knowledge.
miracle.
Although I think the project is pretty much dead as far as I know.
No, it's been 5+ years since I've seen a new
Yeah,
AMV Hell. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Unless the one they're working on now is really, really good and they're going the Bethesda route by really hyping us up to let us down.
Yo, why you
Um,
gotta hurt me? Like, what the fuck?
I'm just saying, Elder Scrolls 6 is around the corner. Brace yourselves. Actually, it's way, way down the street. But anyway, I digress. I do want to also talk about one thing. I don't know if you can actually trace a lineage to all of this, but I like to think that a lot of the people that got started doing a bridge series got started because they were inspired by YouTube poops and stuff like AMV Hell.
I can actually comment on this a little bit. A lot of people did get a bit inspired by that, and the first person to really come up with something hella funny and really start the whole abridged series trend was Little Karibo. And
Oh, of
then
course, yes.
Team 4 Star popped up and other abridgers as well. But a lot of it started off with Little Karibo. He's still around too and making excellent stuff to this day.
I'd like to point out not so little anymore.
Oh yeah, no, he is a fucking titan, and I love that beautiful bald man.
I got
Yeah,
him. I
lost
got
his
him.
hair.
I got him to sign my Win Karibo at Toronto's anime convention, and I freaked him out by fanning out to him,
Oh God.
Who hasn't
as I usually do.
fangirled to Little Karibo though? He's such a sweetheart. He really is.
He is quite.
He's something. But yeah, I like to think that these people probably got inspired to do the abridged series because of how creative like YouTube poops and like AMV Hell was. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but it seems to be a logical progression just from a content standpoint. But anyway, I digress. So one of the things that this obviously led to is the trend of which I think you're seeing the genesis of today, which is stuff like what we do, which is a podcast, or people who do general commentary on the state of anime or specific anime in general. So do you want to get us started, show, with one of these, as you've labeled them, trendsetters?
Oh, please. You shouldn't have said that word out loud. I didn't mean that very literally.
I wanted to point out that you chose the gayest word you could, and I'm very proud
fuck
of
you. Okay, I didn't know what other term to use for anime commentators that are prominent besides trendsetters. So actually, I started watching anime in 2011. So the first sort of anime-related content that I started consuming was a little tiny podcast called Podtaku on YouTube. Oh yeah, it's so niche. So like, what, its biggest video only has 250K views.
Like, yeah, around 250,000 views.
Like, so niche, honey. Not even millions. Oh my god. Okay, no, I'm joking. They were honestly, they were the only relevant anime commenters on YouTube. Basically,
even if you didn't watch or listen to them, you knew their names back then, some way or another.
Oh yeah. I would like to say that at the time, especially the time it came out, which the first episode came out in 2012, there really wasn't any long form anime podcast at that time on YouTube, at least not that I can recall. I mean, and certainly not one that was not backed by like Crunchyroll or Funimation or a corporate interest. These were just it started out as 4 people just getting together and basically doing what we do.
Was Crunchyroll even like up and
they were still pirates back then? I think.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, Crunchyroll's been around since before then. Yeah, sure.
Anyways, but yeah, I would even venture to say that they were like the most relevant anime commenters on the internet in general, at least from what I was consuming. And that was a good thing and a bad thing. I was like a fucking religious devotee to them at the time. I would watch or listen to every single episode, and I would be like living and dying on their every word. And honestly, looking back at those days, a lot of the anime that they were into, I wasn't really into. And like, it was kind of weird because I was getting into anime and I was just like, oh, these guys like Evangelion a lot. And so I tried to watch Evangelion and I'm like, why do you like this? It's not my cup of tea, but they really like that. And they really liked Adolescence on an Incline, which is one of their
Kids on the Slope
cringy jokes. It's cringy now, but it might have been funny. It could have been funny. I don't know. I didn't watch Kids on the Slope, so the joke flew over my head at the time. I still haven't watched Kids on the Slope because I still that's not my kind of anime. So like, it was good that they were talking about anime, because obviously me and a lot of other weebs were desperate for because we're very lonely to listen to people talk about anime, but at the same time they were basically the only people talking about it, and they didn't really talk about a variety, in my opinion. So I mean, I didn't really get introduced to any particular anime that really like synced and vibed with me through them. So that's kind of a shame. But that was my experience with Podtaku. I'm sure you all have watched some of it.
Nope, not a single bit.
Really?
Oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
That's actually kind of surprising considering how long you've actually been an anime fan. But I do think there's some credence to what Sho said, that probably the reason you latched on to it is because it started at a time when you were just getting into anime and you were just looking for, a group of other people who could maybe help you traverse this new landscape.
Exactly.
So that's probably why
I don't know when Reddit came about, but like there was no other forum that I was aware of on the internet that I could like talk to people about anime with.
Well, you could always go to 4chan, but you're taking your life into your hands by doing that.
I don't know who's supposed to tell me about 4chan, girl. I don't know.
No one tells you about 4chan. You find yourself on it late at night when
Oh
you're
my
very
God,
desperate for porn.
Literally. Anyways.
But yeah, I think that's why a lot of people, because that came at a time when like the early 2010s, late 2000s, where a lot of younger people were starting to get into anime because of things like Crunchyroll and Funimation that were putting their stuff online, like streaming services, and you had Netflix was also had some anime on their service too, and people were getting into this, and I think Podtaku kind of came around at this perfect time where they had while it was still kind of small, had a very captive audience looking for content, and they provided it. The one thing I will say, well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say
going.
that it was a relatively big audience, but like it's small
At
by
the time.
today's standards.
By today's standards, yes, but at the time it was pretty big for a channel that devoted exclusively to anime content. But what was I gonna say? Oh, that. Oh no, it's gone. Never mind.
Okay, I was just I just wanted to bring it up that it's interesting that honestly, I can't think of a more or even anything on its level that is a podcast that is as culturally influential as it in the sphere of anime. Like, there's no other podcast on the internet that is like as relevant as Podtaku. And they finished in 2016. Unless
okay,
you guys,
I'm assuming you're limiting yourself to the anime sphere,
Obviously.
not just podcast in general. Okay, because I was about to slap you down if that was what you were saying.
but like, unless you guys know of another highly successful anime podcast, I can't really think of any other podcast that was as successful.
I want to say the highest successful one other than them possibly might have been the IGN anime podcast. They got rather sizable.
Yeah,
the thing
I
is,
would
like,
agree with that.
if you ask 10 weebs, none of them would know IGN. But if
That's-
you ask
well-
10 weebs, 9 would know Podtaku. So.
Well, if you ask 10 weebs, at least 9 of them will know who Gigak is for sure.
All 10 would know who Giga is.
I don't know. You might have that 5-year-old anime fan who's like, who?
No,
I
the
just watch
5-year-olds
Ghibli
are like
movies.
the heaviest YouTube users.
I just watch Ghibli movies. Don't hit me.
Oh God. Anyways.
Yeah, I think Shinoda might be right. Like the IGN Anime Podcast, which is how we all met and started this podcast. It had a relatively successful audience. Although it just kind of stopped after 2 years, 2.5 ish.
Yeah, there were reasons for it. I honestly don't remember.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
I think a lot of the reason it stopped was because the people that worked on it were getting way too busy.
Yeah, something like that.
Actually, come to think of it, I personally liked the Crunchyroll podcast, but I know it's not very popular.
No, it's not. It seems so. I watched like maybe 3 or 4 episodes of that, and it seems so corporate. It seems like it's just safe.
I just have an infatuation with I don't know who the PA woman is. I forget her name. What's her name?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of her name either.
Oh God damn it!
It's gonna bother you now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But getting back to Podtaku, I do think one of the things that's amazing is there were 4 original people on that podcast. They also brought in some other people from time to time as like guests, and then they also spun off this J-Taku thing, which had a bunch of other people on it who were much less well known, which I also think probably, well, yeah, I would say it was a little less successful than Podtaku overall in terms of average viewership. But you had Gigak, Arcada, Holden, and Gene. Of those 4 original people, only 2 of those are still relevant, Gigguk and Arcada. And Arcada isn't anywhere near as relevant as Gigguk in terms of viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm convinced at this point, and this is not necessarily a slight on Gigguk, even though I have a sort of love-hate relationship with his content, but I am convinced that Gigguk could put out a fucking video of him staring into the camera for 5 minutes, and it would get 1 million views within a week.
I don't know what
Listen, he is a
trying to
shit poster of the grand scale, and we love him for it. Okay?
I mean, yeah, he definitely has that trollish aspect to him, which I can certainly appreciate. But I say I have a love-hate relationship with him for one reason. It's his comedy. So I loved him on Pataku because he was constantly having to play off other people to get laughs. And I thought it was great. I almost always hit spot on. But I think that his comedy, when he does his like solo videos for his own channel, are kind of hit or miss for me. Like, I don't think he's always spot on with his comedy when he's by himself. Sometimes he is, and it's fantastic. But then there's other times where it all seems to really fall flat. And I don't know. I just thought that his style of comedy does better, in my opinion, when he has someone else to play off of. That's my own opinion.
I don't really find him funny.
Damn.
That's,
Well,
okay.
I've only watched him by himself on his channel, and like it does good for me. I laugh at it. I enjoy his humor. So I think the comedy aspect is more each their own.
Maybe it just could be the type of comedy that I'm into. I just thought that when he was playing, especially off of Arcada, he was really, really well, because Arcada was always the straight man, and Gigguk was always the fucking fool that would come in and just throw him down. It was fun to watch. That's why I genuinely appreciate what Pataku was able to do in the years that they did. I will say one thing that I always found funny was, and this could be a relic of the time that when it was going on, they never released on a regular schedule ever. It was, whenever they felt like getting together to record, that's when they do it. You could not in any way build an audience on YouTube that way today. Back then you probably could, but I can't see anyone doing that today.
Times have changed, and
Isn't
unless
that
like your quality is that high, you just can't do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like Digibro was like that intermittently. But
Yeah, but now he does stuff on a regular basis.
I know.
That's actually a great segue. Should we start talking about Digibro? Because
No.
you're gonna have to go with this one, because I can't stand the man.
Oh my god. But we're skipping over the years. We have to go in chronological order.
Okay,
So,
okay.
All right, well, you want to start with what we have listed first? Then go
Okay,
ahead.
so before Digibro, before he had his claim to fame, oh well, actually, you know what? We can go to Digibro because these things are not
Lord,
listed
make up-
in freaking chronological order. So let's.
Make up your fucking mind.
Oh my god, it's not my fault that we didn't order these in chronologically. Okay.
Girls.
Yes, so in 2014, Digibro released a video whose title was somewhat along the lines of a diatribe on Sword Art Online, and that made him quite famous in the anime
And the internet
sphere.
has never been the same since.
And it also, well, that's true. I don't think he's ever had as successful a video as that. Not well, I don't know about views, but like culturally speaking. And Digibro brought a distinctly unique style of commentary. There's a very political way of saying that.
Yeah, you're being very generous with that phrase.
Distinct from Podtaku, that is, because where Podtaku was basically like a bunch of friends, just shooting the shit, talking about whatever the fuck they want. Digibro was more like, I have a bone to pick with you, and I'm going to pick it while you're screaming in pain. Because I am like stabbing you in the gut while I'm picking this bone. And that was his style of commentary, where he would pick apart every single tiny detail of at this point Sword Art Online, and it would go on to be a lot of other shows. And honestly, it was quite entertaining. And there have been, well, for me at least, it was, I don't know about you guys. You guys probably have different opinions. But ever since the video in 2014, there's been a huge surgence in the similar style of being very concerned with the trivial details of anime and picking it apart at such a tiny, minute level. Every single thing, such as Mother's Basement, is a similar kind of style.
Hold on. Yeah, okay, go on.
Okay.
I had to do that for my own sanity. Go on.
Yeah. But like, actually, yeah. I mean, basically summarizes. I just found it interesting that like it was such a huge shift of style from Podtaku to the Digibro style of videos, and I think the Digibro style of videos are still pretty successful, currently in present day. And there's not a lot of Podtaku style of casual bullshit. And I don't know where, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I don't know if this, I honestly am kind of tired at this point of the Digibro style of being overcritical. And I don't know if we're going to go roundabout back to Podtaku or what.
I certainly hope so, because we've already got that established.
LOL. Yes, if you're looking for Podtaku style content, then you're in the right place. Yeah.
Wow, that fucking insincerest laugh I've ever heard in my life.
Do you
so
guys
can I talk about Digibro for just a moment?
go ahead?
It's really easy to draw views when all you do is talk about clickbait topics.
But
like
what?
the whole Sword Art Online thing. He did that when the first season of Sword Art Online had just finished airing, I believe. And he was just parroting a view that many people who watched it felt, and he was just giving a voice basically to their frustrations with it, which I can certainly understand why you would do that. I will say though that just about every video he's done since then, it's like, and it is like you say, he delves into this absolute just minutia of details to pick stuff apart, and like at some point it's like, give it up. Like you cannot break this into any more parts.
Are you sure he was parroting views? Because I'm pretty sure that was like an unheard of opinion at the time. Now it's a common opinion, but I
think there were a lot of people who felt that way at the time but didn't say anything because it was so popular.
Okay, well, from my experience, it was unheard of view, and as well, I know that he himself has stated that he thought it was unheard of view. So I don't know where you've heard of. I don't know what you are hearing, but it may have been, you may have heard it before. I don't know.
I'm just going by at the time back in 2014. Yeah, right around that time after Sword Art Online the first season of Sword Art Online had finished airing. I just remember there were a lot of people that I talked to at the time who were anime fans, anime watchers, and had seen it like I had, and they thought it was shit. But they never really said anything because I think a lot of people that watched it and thought it was shit also thought that most people thought it was shit.
Honey, that makes no sense because it was so popular in 2014. But okay. You're not making any sense, Alex.
Yeah, honestly, most
I'm not
of
here
what
to
I
make
heard
sense.
back in the day is nothing but praise and just admiration for SAO. I think it might have been a lot of us were towards the younger side back then and just like watched whatever without giving it critical thought, really. And, just watch whatever for entertainment, and that's all. Don't actually give it thought.
I think actually I would probably be more inclined to agree with that. Yeah, you're probably right. I would probably might not have been paying that much of attention back then because I feel. I think I've talked about this before, but I feel that since I do this now on the podcast, I feel like almost an obligation to get a sense of what everyone else thinks before I tell anyone what I think.
Okay.
Doesn't that skew opinion though?
It makes for me personally, it makes me content with having certain views or knowing when to speak up because I might have a contrary view. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
it
I
makes sense in my
understand.
head.
Listen, there is a whole philosophy behind this, and
Yes,
I
I
don't
know.
think we should even go into it
But
right now.
we're not here to talk about essay or debate philosophy. We're here to talk about Digibro for a second. I do think though that I've gotten to the point where I can't even watch his stuff anymore because he's just talking about this insignificant small detail and saying, well, the anime is shit because of this little tiny detail that happened in episode 2 at the 20 minute and 32 second mark. So the entire anime is shit because of this. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, get a fucking life. Second of all, like, there's only so far that you can review and critique things into which you're getting. It's like you're trying to get into the artist's head, and it's like just review and critique what's in front of you.
I don't know if
And
any of those criticisms are legitimate, but I think, honestly, like I said, I am kind of. I never hated his content, but I am kind of just bored with it at this point. I think the last video I watched was his criticism of Scum's Wish, which I loved Scum's Wish, and he just did a hot shit on it. And I was like, no, why would you hurt me? But
I do think, though, you are right that there are certain copycats that have sort of arisen because of Digipro's, I guess, what do you want to call it, success. Mother's Basement being one of those. I feel like I should explain this. I don't like Mother's... Well, I used to tolerate Mother's Basement because I thought that he did somewhat good OP/ED reviews and breakdowns. Although over the last, I'll say, year and a half or so, I've noticed that he has been letting his own personal political beliefs seep into his reviews, and I don't watch anime reviews to figure out what a commentator's political beliefs are.
What are his political beliefs? I don't know. I don't watch him.
Well, judging from some of the stuff that he's said, or some of the stuff he's insinuated in some of his reviews, and from stuff that he espouses on Twitter, he seems to lean very SJW-ish.
Oh, honey, maybe I should watch him.
But the straw that broke the camel's back for me was something that he said when Rising of a Shield Hero came out. And I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but it was basically saying that he felt like it was the whole premise of the whole false rape allegation was God, what was the word he used? Because it really drove me a bend. God, I can't remember it now. I should go look it up. But anyway, he was insinuating that it wasn't a creative choice because no one would believe it.
What?
If it had actually happened, I know, right?
No, I'm so confused.
I should have before we started recording gone and looked it up. But it was just he was insinuating that the whole reason he didn't like it was because it was a man being falsely accused of rape, and he was heavily implying that it would have been better had a woman or no had a man. God, I can't remember what it is now. No, okay, so I know how to do this. I know words.
You know,
he was
genders,
insinuating that it would have been better had it been the other way around. And I'm thinking, well, that's a very like sexist thing to say.
Wait, what? He would have been okay with a woman being falsely accused of rape?
Yes.
I feel like you got that wrong because that makes no sense.
Okay.
Are you sure
So
you're
you talk.
remembering this tweet right? Like, do you want to bring it up just in case?
I'm gonna go look it up so I get it right. So someone else talk about the next point of contention.
Have you? Weren't you? Didn't you want to talk about Mother's Basement, Shinoda?
Um, yeah. So in the history of it, I feel Mother's Basement is more, it's towards the newer side rather than the older side, but it does have a the channel itself does have some history. Um, he has done excellent work, and it's actually improved over the years, at least in my opinion. Um, the fact that there's a lot of analysis into OPs and EDs, fights, and just stylistic choices of anime. I do appreciate it because just a lot of those things that he does take a very specific look at. It is details that honestly just flies over my head most of the time. I appreciate it. Sometimes I catch bits of it here and there, but the level of detail that it's done at is rather impressive, and I have to applaud the amount of time it must take to produce that content.
Mm, that is true. I don't watch a lot of his content, but I can understand what you're saying. Like on a technical level, he can catch a lot of things that would be interesting to see, to hear about. That's
Exactly.
pretty. Yeah,
I'm
that's pretty
sorry, you were gonna
worthwhile.
say? Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to say about Mother's Basement or Digibro. Um, so we can just move on to the next. I would call this wave of anime YouTubers, which is headed by the Anime Man, who well, he started his channel in 2013, but he hit his 1 million subscriber mark in 2017, and I personally identify with his channel around the 2017 mark because that's when it was relevant to me and I was watching it. So that's the era in which I put him. And then you have his, as Alex would say, cabal of
Cabal.
cohorts.
Hey, it's a good word. Shut up.
Which I mean, the original four were him, Aki Dearest, Lost Paws, and Misty, and their style of content was very, oh my god, I don't I was gonna say millennial. This is such a horrible term to use. Okay, it's a very like rapid paced, very tongue in cheek, very comedy oriented. I wouldn't see like Potaku was casual comedy. This is more like ADD comedy, if you know what I mean. Like you got to get
Were
things
they
done fast, quick. Let's go.
were they
Um,
podcasts as well or something else?
oh no, they just did like vlogs. They just talked like for 10 to 15 minutes about whatever.
Okay.
And you like they do a lot of like I don't know how else. What other term could I use other than millennial? Okay, they do a lot of millennial topics like challenge videos and like quiz videos and like, um, you know, those. I don't know how to take those topics and put them together as a general, under a general header, but they do those kind of content. And I mean, I used to watch the Anime Man a lot. I also used to watch Akidiris and Lost Paws a lot. Like I would binge their videos for a very short period of time, and then I was done with them. But yeah, it's interesting how there's these three different styles that I can identify, that it's Podtaku, Digibro and the Anime Man. I just call it the Anime Man style. Um,
I hate to interrupt you,
go
but I found
ahead,
the
please
tweet.
do.
Okay, it's part of a 3-tweet thread, so I'll just read the whole thing. This is from Mother's
Oh no. Okay, we're in
It's
for a
from
trip.
Mother's Basement on January 6th, 2019. Let's see. Lord L. Malloy, whatever, second season, and Boogie Pop are both really great so far. Price of Smile is cute, could be good. Shield Hero's quote-unquote poor me protagonist is kind of dumb, and the writing of the villains is mawkish, but it goes in the direction of turning if it goes into the turning let me read that again. But if it goes in the direction of turning him into a bad person, it could be interesting. Seems like he is going to have to do bad things to get by. Long as I'm not expected to sympathize with him and think everyone else deserves what's coming, that could be a really good angle for an isekai story. If I am ... Well, the music and art direction are pretty great, at least. And then he goes on to kind of, I guess, explain himself. Says, specifically, if he being the main character of Shield Hero, if he's forced to reckon in some way with the fact that what's got him into this mess is ultimately his own laziness and expectation that life should hand him everything he needs, not just everyone else being mean, that could be a good arc. So basically, he said that the whole reason that the main character, who is male, got into the problem of being falsely accused of rape was that he was lazy. Which is
That
pretty
just
sexist.
That's a bit
it is.
much.
It also goes off the fact that like you like unless you've read ahead or something. No, like whatever it is, you have to like in a situation like that you everything seems to be fine, and like most animes like that they tend to be more light than anything. Like I had no clue about Shield Hero and how it would turn out. I just thought, oh, another more lighthearted isekai. I did not expect it to take a darker turn that it did, but initially I was like, okay, he seems really fucking naive, but like everything seems to be kind of whatever, and like just
I,
blaming him for expecting decency, I suppose, and like some value for being called a legendary hero or whatever. Like it's kind of expected stuff. How are you gonna be mean about it? He did if I remember right, he did go on to later recant the statements he made, but still.
well, he must have, because he deleted the tweets.
Then how did you find them?
Because I screenshot them.
Oh my god, you call me a Twitter stalker. Honey.
No, I actually posted. I screenshot them and then put them on our our Discord server for the podcast. That's how I found them.
Oh, honey.
I didn't keep them,
I didn't know you were his secret admirer.
but I just went
What
and checked
kind
them.
of
They are
secret
deleted.
admirer?
Anyway,
Okay.
the whole reason I brought that up is because I got the feeling that the way he phrased that meant that if the main character had been a woman, I wouldn't have these issues.
I don't think he phrased it that well, but I can relate to his sentiments. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was a mess. That whole tweet
Yeah.
thread was a mess. But I guess
Well, there was a lot of grammatical errors that I had to kind of fix for him.
I guess saying a tweet thread is a mess is redundant because it's
It kind of is, yeah.
explanatory. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the anime man.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything like more to say other than distinguishing his style from the rest of them and just.
I do like the style you said, millennial. That's a good style.
I mean, like it's pretty. Like I don't want to use that term, but that's what it is, honestly.
I do have one thing. Like I've watched the Anime Man's content on and off for years now, probably since about 2015, about 2015, I'd say. And I had a lot of respect for him until he made a video claiming that he clearly doesn't like English dubs, which is fine. There's a lot of people that don't like English
Funny
dubs.
enough,
I'm fine with that.
His first ever YouTube video is like, I hate English dubs.
Yeah, I know. But another video that where he goes talks about English dubs, where he literally says that there's no reason for anime or English dubs or any dub other than the Japanese dub to ever exist. And I'm thinking, that's a very elitist thing to say. Like, I would not have gotten into anime at all had it not been for English dubs. I'm sorry if that offends you in some way, but I would say at least half, if not more, of the people who are into anime now that live in the West, especially in like North America, got into anime because of English dubs. So you saying that does nothing to further the cause of the anime fandom.
Well, I can understand what he's saying because like he's a native Japanese speaker.
And
Actually,
that's something else.
I don't know if he's native, but he does speak Japanese, so I mean it would make sense for him.
He's fluent. He's fluent in Japanese, which I can certainly understand that. But that's something else that bothers me. He presents himself as a Western anime fan, and I don't consider him a Western anime fan for the simple fact is, number one, he's half Japanese, and number two, he's fluent.
So racist.
And number two, he's fluent in Japanese.
Why
which
are you so racist, Alex?
How is that pointing out that he's Japanese is racist? That's called a fact.
But he lives in Australia.
Okay, but that doesn't mean he's not half Japanese.
Yeah, but that, like, he is a Western because he lives in Australia. He doesn't live in Japan. Oh my god.
But how many Western anime fans do you know can watch anime in Japanese with no subtitles? How many? Name at least 5 that you know personally.
Honey, I could say something like, oh my god. Name an anime fan that does Anime Club After Dark and is fucking has a fucking okay, I don't know something unique about me, but whatever. You could just put a list of unique things and then single out that one person. But like, yeah, he's not a typical Western fan, but he's still a Western fan.
Okay, well, I can go with that. Certainly not a typical Western fan. A very small minority Western fan being one that can watch anime in Japanese with no subtitles.
Yeah, okay. Are you saying any fan who can watch without subtitles is not a Western fan? Whatever. We're getting way too off topic. Whatever. Just continue your point.
I'm saying that 99.99999% of Western anime fans can't do that.
Oh. What a shame.
I think that number is much lower than that.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Anyway, what was your point that you were getting to?
Well, my original point was that the whole point of contention about anime dubs or English anime dubs they shouldn't even exist. Really, like what? Why would you say that?
I know you're like so touchy on this subject, girl. You're so sensitive. Whatever.
No,
you have your hills to die on. Whatever.
It's a stupid elitist thing to say.
Okay, honey.
I will say this, and this is not racist. It's only something that someone who is fluent in Japanese could say.
No, I could say it too.
Well, you wouldn't mean it.
Why not?
You would be willing to watch anime for the rest of your life, not knowing a word of what anyone is saying.
Oh, without subtitles? No.
No subtitles at all.
I thought, but we're talking about dubs, not subtitles.
That's what I'm talking about, but he's the only kind of person that would say that is someone who is fluent in Japanese, who could literally watch it the way it was intended to be watched.
Okay, Alex. I would still have the same opinion, but for different reasons.
Okay. Anyway. Also, Aki Dearest is what a Fujoshi would be like if you describe one on the phone.
That sounds offensive. You're so offensive today.
I mean, she's kind of Fujoshi.
I don't even want to get into this. I feel like you're personally attacking her. Unless you're going to say something nice. What are you going to say about Aki Dearest?
I like her enthusiasm. She's all of her videos are very upbeat and very happy.
Okay.
Which is something you can't say about someone like Digibro for sure.
That's true.
Digibro's like, I'm depressed and I'm gonna drag all of you down with me.
Well, yeah, I'm in a drunken, depressed stupor. And this is the only thing that I know how to do to kill time.
All right, so we need to wrap this up because we're getting to the hour mark here. I guess something else that's kind of come out of the YouTube anime commentary on YouTube is stuff like chapter and episode reviews for manga and anime. And Shinoda, you wrote this down, and I didn't even know this, that
I did.
Moscow X did anime
Oh yeah.
reviews.
Yeah. Now specifically, he does the Dragon Ball franchise in particular, but
That's an anime.
yes, it is.
How astute of you.
You might have heard of it. It's got a small following.
Very small, very niche. Well, that part's actually very true. Um, he started a couple of years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years ago. Um, it was when Super was halfway through, I want to say, that he started off with his own channel. And for those of you who don't know, he's the a lot of voices actually, but his what he's primarily known for is the voice of Team Four Star's abridged Goku. um and he basically started off his own YouTube channel a while ago, and he was like, let me give it a crack at it, and he got big. He got pretty big in the Dragon Ball fandom, to the point where he started creating his own original content, and it's been a pretty interesting thing to watch so far. His analysis and reviews that he did do of Dragon Ball, and of course when it's back, and it will be back. Uh, what he did, it was
That
rather.
long pause after it will be back. Like I hope.
You could almost call it a lost pause.
You cheeky bastard.
Stop it. No, it will be back. Let's be real. It makes too much money not to be back. Um, But the reviews he did was rather excellent. He showed a lot of in-universe knowledge, a lot of stuff that wasn't even necessarily shown in the show itself or manga, which he got from a lot of other sources that are canon, weirdly enough. And he got pretty big into it. So just
Didn't
one weird spot out there in the YouTube
didn't
world.
Moscow X also have do something in relation to the original Naruto Bridge series as well?
I honestly
remember
can't tell you, but I really wouldn't be surprised. The amount of projects he's been involved in is a bit ridiculous.
Can I just say the one thing I remember all these years later about the Naruto Bridge series?
Oh no.
Log, it's big, it's heavy, it's wood. Log.
Honestly, I think I preferred the spoof series to the abridged series. That shit was
That was pretty good too.
yeah, Naruto was a chain smoking dude, and his voice was. Oh
This is
God, it
not
was
great.
so good. No, it
It was great because it was not
amazing.
great.
Oh.
Oh man, but yeah, that's something. It's something you're starting to see more and more of is these people who do like chapter reviews for manga and individual episode reviews for anime. It seems to be something that's like more and more prevalent where it's like you can review a chapter of a manga or an episode of an anime with like somewhere between a 5 and a 10 minute long video. You don't have to sit down and record for hours and hours and hours to get content.
And there have been people doing it for a very long time. I remember while I didn't do it, my boys after watching the newest episode of Naruto, they would always go on YouTube and watch one of their favorite episode reviewers just analyze the episode, look for hidden stuff, or talk about in universe knowledge based off of that episode or further into stuff, and it just shows there has been precedent for this for a very long time, and it's only getting even more popular.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
What do you guys
Which is
think
Go
about
ahead.
the popular opinion that chapter and episode reviews don't take any talent and they don't really tell much?
I'll
I think it
argue with
depends.
that for the fact that it does depend on who you are and exactly what your to what level you're reviewing, I suppose, to say, because you could just be reading out what happened and
Oh my
that's
god.
it.
There's literally so many episode reviews that I've seen where it's literally just a synopsis of the episode, and I'm like, what did I just
Pretty much.
listen to?
I would agree that that takes very, very little talent because you can cobble something like that together in 5 minutes.
You
Literally
don't even have to
anyone
watch
can
the
do it.
episode. Just read the
You really don't.
synopsis. And then
Now
just
here
blurt it out again.
Now, here's the thing. The ones that are of higher quality, that talk about in-universe stuff, talk about possible theories on based on very real in-universe situations or whatever the plot is, those are the ones that are actual quality and that can be watched because they actually care instead of just splurging out garbage content.
Yeah,
I
I
will.
would. I like it when people like not only break down what happens in the episodes, but will also give like their opinions about what they thought about it, where they think the story's gonna go from there, and talk about things like art direction and art, and the music and stuff like that. If it's just someone reading out a synopsis, I don't care.
Yeah, I will say that the Chibi reviews videos on the chapters of Tokyo Ghoul were very helpful for me because honestly, the Tokyo Ghoul manga is borderline abstract and I have no idea what the basic plot is going on in the fucking manga. And so him just telling me what is going on, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that happened."
Tell me more about
I'm like,
Chibi
"Thank you
reviews.
for telling me."
Tell me more about Chibi reviews because this is the first time I'm hearing of this channel.
It's learning time.
Oh,
Okay,
honey.
then.
I only watched him for his Tokyo Ghoul stuff. But he does a
Okay.
lot of different stuff. I haven't watched him in a while though because I finished reading Tokyo Ghoul.
It's mostly manga reviews though, isn't it?
He's the last time I saw him, he was doing currently airing anime.
Hmm.
I think he does a lot of manga though. Yeah.
Well, I will say if you're gonna do in-depth episode or chapter reviews, it's a great way to get out regular content.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a scheduled uploads and stuff like that, it's great for that.
Indeed, it's all about the the schedules of your illegal scanlators, really.
Absolutely. And don't think those aren't involved because they fucking are. I will say, we ourselves, well, when I say we, I mean Natai and myself, are going to be delving into this whole thing of episode reviews when Neon Genesis Evangelion comes out on Netflix in June. He and I are going to be doing not necessarily an episode by episode review. I think we're going to do 2 episodes at a time, but we're going to go through the whole series plus End of Evangelion and do just individual reviews where we pick apart every episode. We talk about the art, the context behind what's being talked about in the story, the characters, everything.
Oh yeah,
So-
I have to watch Evangelion because I said I would join in on that.
That'd be good. It would be great to have someone on there who's just watching the episodes as we're reviewing them, and not like us who's actually seen it before.
No,
So we could, like,
remember
we
I
could
said
turn
I
you and
would.
go, hey, Chin-
Remember
we
I
could turn
said
you and
I
go, hey,
would.
Shinoda, what do you think's gonna happen next? We could just laugh at how wrong you are.
Do you? No, because I was gonna watch the original, then watch this series. Plus, I've already seen the movies that are out.
What do you mean?
So
Wait, whoa. What do you mean? Watch the original?
I
It
haven't
is
watched
the original.
What?
It is the original Evangelion that's coming out on Netflix. You boob.
I thought it was the remake that's coming out.
No.
they're doing a new English dub, but that's it. It's the original series.
Oh, animation and art style and everything?
Yes.
Oh, honey.
Oh, I thought it was
Speaking-
new everything.
Wow.
Speaking of Netflix, that's one reason to not watch the sub, because they don't sync up the subs' voices to the fucking lip flaps.
That does happen from time to time. You're right.
Okay, I'm just a little
Uh.
salty about that. Before we end this podcast, I want to bring up one last topic, much to your annoyance, Alex. But-
Who wrote High Guardian Spies down here? I should slap.
Okay.
You should
Shut
know
up.
who
Yeah,
did it.
you can't
You
just
should know.
you can't just name drop a High Guardian Spice without context. Okay, look, we'll rewind like 500 years. So I want to talk about the lack of minority YouTubers, at least from my experience and what I've seen on YouTube. I don't see a lot of minorities. And what specifically brought this revelation on was the whole debacle with High Guardian Spice, which, if you don't remember, was Crunchyroll's original that was had a
I
very
wish I could forget.
had a very feminist production team that were very vocal about their feminist leanings, and then it got a huge backlash from the anime community. And my YouTube feed was blown up by everyone and their brother about how this High Guardian Spice was bullshit. But the funny thing I saw was that out of all the reaction videos, I didn't see one that was by a woman who was the main target audience of the original. They were all men. So I'm like, where are all my female YouTubers? It's like,
Did anyone make a reaction to it? Any female specifically?
I didn't see any. All the people that I saw in my feed, all men. I'm sure there were women, but they didn't get in my feed.
Okay, well, first of all, there are more women on planet Earth than men, so minority is a very loose thing there. Secondly, if maybe have you considered the fact that maybe women saw it and were like, I don't care.
Well, yeah, that is exactly what I assumed. But you'd think they'd be vocal about their because everybody else was so vocal about their what the fuck is this? You know, they could get a lot of views with their
Typically the stuff you feel the most blasé about is the stuff you least want to talk about.
Oh, honey, speak to Digibro.
Well, yeah. Okay, that is the exception that almost proves the rule, in my opinion. But yeah.
And I know Aki Dearest is a good counterpoint to my thing about women on YouTube. But as much as I appreciate Aki Dearest, I think she's very much a tomboy, and she very much copies the styles of her male colleagues, and she doesn't try to make
Is that
her
a problem?
own. She doesn't try to make her own distinct. She doesn't bring her status as a woman to the forefront of her content, which I don't know is good or bad, but that's what she doesn't do. But anyways, there's not a lot of to me, women who talk about specific topics related to women and anime on YouTube. And I would like to see that, but I don't see that. Okay, what?
Well, I would say it's very, very good that Aki Dearest doesn't constantly inject the fact that she's a woman and like as a woman, and I don't think her being a tomboy, as you put it, is necessarily a problem. It's just
I don't think it's a problem either. I'm just saying that it's not what I'm looking for. It's not the type of content that I'm looking for.
Maybe what you're looking for doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. That I would like it to exist.
Well, you can't force people to make anime commentary videos if they don't want to. Like, people that want to do it will get off of their ass and do it. People that don't want to do it, well, they won't do it.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I'm not trying to create these content creators from thin air. I'm just saying that I'm sure they exist. They're just not popular enough to be on my radar.
Maybe. I mean, in this day and age, it's so easy to get a YouTube channel and just start producing content just ad nauseum that there's a lot that can get lost in the noise. So there may be people out there there may be female anime commenters out there who have said something positive about High Guardian Spice, but they have like 20 or 30 subscribers and you've never heard of them.
Yeah, and I would like to hear them, and that's all I'm saying. And one more thing related to this topic. I've recently been watching a YouTuber called CDogVA, which apparently is one of the Anime Man's friends, not fans. I'm sure he's a fan too.
It's a cabal.
But he has VA in his name, so I'm sure he does VA work. I don't know about his VA work, but his content on...
How do you know he's not from Virginia?
Oh, shut up. Okay. His content on YouTube is basically targeted towards Fujoshi. So he does a lot of content relating to gay male culture. But he is a straight man. And it made me think, after watching like 5 or 10 of his videos, it made me think, why are there no like LGBT YouTubers? Because there's a lot of LGBT like undertones and overtones in anime, but there's not many LGBT YouTubers. And again, I think the counterpoint is the pedantic romantic. I'm sorry if you're not LGBT plus, but I think you are. I don't know. But either way, whether you are or aren't, you don't bring that status to the forefront of your commentary, which is basically, I mean, like, that's what I'm looking for. So that's just another minority that I have a complaint about. Yeah.
So this might be a difficult question to answer, but I feel like I have to answer it anyway. Why do you feel that people who are women or are LGBT in some way or are feminists or are whatever, why do you feel that they should bring that aspect of their livelihood to the forefront with anime commentary?
I'm not saying they should.
Representation.
I'm not saying they
Who
should.
cares?
I'm saying that is what I am looking for. That's the kind of content that I would like to consume. I'm sure there's definitely a lot of people who don't want to consume that kind of content, and that's fine for them, but I'm looking for a different kind of content.
Fine. It seems like you're setting yourself up to get into an echo chamber, but I mean, if that's what you want.
What do you mean? I don't think I'm the only one.
I would much rather hear content and watch content from people who try to make the best content they can, irregardless of what group they're a part of, whether they're a woman or
of course,
gay
but
or
like,
lesbian or transgender.
Who is going
whatever.
to talk about these things if not the people themselves?
Well, anyone can talk about them. You don't have to be a part of the group to talk about the group.
Yeah, but I would prefer to hear it from the horse's maw.
It's a matter of
maybe you
when
just don't know it yet.
It's a matter of if you are actually part of the community versus someone just outside of it commentating on it. There is a difference.
What?
I don't think there's a difference at all. I think good commentary is good commentary, irregardless of what group you happen to belong to.
I disagree.
Yeah, I have to disagree with that as well.
I don't. So you would rather someone be gay and make bad commentary than listen to someone who's straight and has good commentary.
I would rather.
It's more complicated than that. Come on,
I
Alex.
would rather listen to...
No, it's exactly what you said you wanted.
I would rather listen to a gay man talk about the gay male culture surrounding anime rather than a straight man do that.
It doesn't make a difference. I don't see a difference.
Okay, well, I do.
Anyway, I just want to fucking erase High Guardian Spies from this doc that we work with.
Let's get through the last 2 points real quick.
Okay, yeah. So to wrap this up, the future. Um, do what do we collectively think that the future of anime content on YouTube is gonna really? Will you stop? For those of you who are listening to this and can't see what he's doing, he's fucking making High Guardian Spies like 80-point font. Stop. What do we think the future of anime content is going to be on YouTube? I have a very bleak prediction about what it's going to be, and that is there's not going to be any, unless it's actually content that is sanctioned by people who have power within the industry, i.e., people like Funimation or Crunchyroll or Netflix or what have you, because YouTube has started to crack down so much on stuff like with their content ID system, and they have perverted copyright to such a unbelievable extent to where you can get your channel demonetized, you can get your videos taken down, your entire channel taken down at a moment's notice for doing anything that's regarded as fair use. And that's where I see the future. I mean, you don't have to go far for the cause. Like just earlier last week, which could be a couple weeks by the time this goes out, Giga had his entire YouTube channel demonetized. I mean, he got it back, but because he emailed, or I don't think he emailed, I think he used Twitter to get in touch with YouTube support, and they're like, and they do the same line they give there. Oh, this was a mistake when we were reviewing your channel, and it's like, yeah, that happens way too often to be a mistake.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
I don't disagree. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I have to agree. YouTube, for a while in the earlier days, it was good, but it has been in a slow and steady. Not even slow. No, let me remove that word. It has been on a steady downfall spiral, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Uh, to pertain to your example, someone like Giga, the fact that even he got demonetized and then he got remonetized, that's true, but that's mostly because he's a big channel. A lot of smaller channels have to deal with that kind of BS. They won't hear anything back for weeks, if not months at a time. And people who are trying
Oh
to
yeah,
do these kinds of things for a living, that's it's just not doable. A lot of people
yeah.
in both the anime side, gaming side, a lot of communities have had to turn to Patreon, um, and such other sites to make sure they have a steady income. And
And
it's
even Patreon isn't a guaranteed thing, because as they have proven earlier or late last year, you can get thrown off of their platform for the crime of they disagree with your politics.
Great. Yeah, I totally
well,
agree. Hmm.
I don't know if that's necessarily prevalent, but anyway,
Well,
sorry.
it's
Show.
happened.
Oh, well, yeah, I totally agree that YouTube is a very shit platform for many administrative reasons. Um, but whether it's on YouTube or another video sharing website, I think that actually I don't think. I hope that we get more SJW content for anime.
Oh
Oh
Yes,
God,
God,
queen, bring
no.
Kill
in
me
the
now.
justice. Okay, anyways,
I'm good, thank you. But no,
the
I would like to point out that
justice.
I do think
I would like to
unless
point out that
they
it's
make some,
SJW content that's leading to people getting banned. But okay,
The
I
justice.
I do hope that YouTube, someone high up in the company gets on their shit soon, because like unless that happens, like I've already seen a lot of people start just moving to other video platforms, and like I do like YouTube for the fact that it's easy and convenient. I'll be fully honest. I like it's there, and they have a system that's set up, and that's probably one of the few reasons I'm staying. But like if even more people leave, and like especially creators that I really like start migrating to other sites, I'm just gonna go with them, because this platform has been really shitty to a lot of people. And like Most of the time, I won't even give a damn about a platform doing shit like this, but at this point, even I'm like, yo, this is really not cool. And unless they change a lot of things, the platform itself will die, and we won't have any content on YouTube.
Oh, it'll be cat videos. You'll have that.
I don't know. I think there's a very real possibility YouTube might die, period.
I'm pretty sure
I mean,
YouTube's been in the red for a long time.
YouTube has never made a profit.
Yeah,
Ever.
exactly. That's what, like, for those of you who don't know, ever since YouTube was bought by Google, they have not made a profit off of it. It has been a constant loss, if I remember right. Am I right, Alex?
Yeah. It's never turned a profit. It's never even come close to turning a profit. I don't understand how this format could ever turn a profit. I really don't. Even with ad support, I don't think it ever can.
Like, there is a lot of money moving through YouTube. Don't get us wrong. It's a ridiculous amount of money. But just because of how things are, it's constantly on a downward spiral, and it is amazing to see such a shit show happening.
Well, the good thing is there's already a pretty damn good alternative that you can go to already.
There's
Called what?
so many alternatives.
Yeah, but no one's using them.
I mean, if YouTube screws over enough people, eventually they will.
And it's already started, is the thing.
Just waiting for the day they delete PewDiePie's channel. Oh, the 12-year-olds will be so upset.
I think we should wrap it up.
I think on that note, I will wrap up. So thank you all out there for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed listening to us because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. If you want to keep up with what we're doing and have a little more fun, you can join our Discord server, become a member of our Facebook group, follow our Twitch channel, and visit our website. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, or concerns on this or any episode, feel free to shoot us an email. Links to all of these things will be down below in the description. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Oh my god.
That was your fucking cue, and you didn't do shit.
I was expecting Show to go first,
I was
okay?
expecting Shinoda.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
God, we should get married already.
Oh my god. I'll get the cake.
Come on.